Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to our Kashmir Cultural Heritage Online Awareness Series. Today is our 88th and is going to be by Sri B. Ganeshan on Kashmir Shaivism and Atma Vichara of Bhagvan Sri Ramana Maharshi. Let us start today's session with a prayer by Niveda Harish. Niveda, are you there?
Yes, sir. Gajavadana Karuna Sadana Gajavadana Karuna Sadana Shri Gajavadana Karuna Sadana Shankara Bala Lambodara Sundara Gajavadana Karuna Sadana Shankara Bala Lambodara Sundara Gajavadana Karuna Sadana Janamarendranu Munivarum Paniyum Janamarendranu Munivarum Paniyum Pankaja Charana Charanam Charanam Pankaja Charana Charanam Charanam Shri Gajavadana Karuna Sadana Shankara Bala Lambodara Sundara Gajavadana Karuna Sadana Niye Muvulagirkadaram Niye Shivagama Mantrasaram Niye Muvulagirkadaram Niye Shivagama Mantrasaram Niye Vaadvilanjeevadaram Niye Vaadvilanjeevadaram Niye Arulvai Sumukha Niye Arulvai Sumukha Omkara Gajavadana Karuna Sadana Shankara Lambodara Sundara Gajavadana Karuna Sadana
Thank you, Niveda. I just wanted to introduce to our viewers about you. Niveda has been learning Bharatanatyam for the last 15 years under the tutelage of Kalaimamani Srimati Roja Kannan. She is a proud recipient of CCRT Scholarship for Bharatanatyam awarded by Ministry of Culture, Government of India, and has recently been awarded the Hall of Fame for the year 2022 by Live for You for Bharatanatyam and was one of the 4 dancers selected from India to perform in Apsara's Arts Company in November 2023 in Singapore. She has a keen interest in Carnatic music, pursuing under Guru Srimati Radha Parthasarthi. She has been regularly performing Nama Sangeetanams during festivals in temples. She is currently acting as Kanakadara in Bombay Chanakya's Periyava for Shankara TV and has also anchored a few programs for Shankara TV. She has learnt Veena from the renowned artist and guru, Dr. R.S. Jayalakshmi. So it's Veena Bharatanatyam and Carnatic music. I missed one more. Besides her passion, Niveda Harish is pursuing third year electronics media course in MOP Vaishnava College, Chennai, and also BSc Data Science from IIT Madras. Very impressive. Thank you very much for joining us and look forward to seeing you.
Definitely. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. We thank Sri Kanchi Mutt for our ongoing Kashmir initiatives. Offer our namaskarams to His Holiness Sri Shankara Vijayendra Saraswati Swamigal. Kanchi Mutt has always been in the forefront, modestly working with the sole aim of national integration, spiritual enlightenment, and preserving the uniqueness of Kashmir, as Kashmir is our cultural heritage. Now we are very pleased to introduce Sri Ganeshan with his brief from his impressive bio, and his joy is previously been with the Ministry of Finance and great transition from finance to spirituality. Sri B. Ganeshan is a former managing director of Agricultural Finance Corporation, AFC. He also served as director in the board of National Scheduled Caste Finance and Development Corporation under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Government of India, as well as director in the board of GPCL promoted by Exim Bank. Prior to his appointment as MD of AFC, Sri Ganeshan served as officer on special duty in the Ministry of Finance, Government of India, and various other ministries, namely Ministry of Power, Ministry of Urban Development, Poverty Alleviation, Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, Ministry of Shipping, NABARD, as well as Agriculture Insurance Company in senior level administrative positions. Besides his significant involvement in the development sector, encompassing all major areas, including rural livelihoods, in his spiritual course, Sri Ganeshan had met several spiritual masters and was initiated first into Kundalini Kriya Yoga and went on to take initiatives from Raj Yoga, Tantra, and then Sri Vidya under the lineage of Guruji Amritananda from Devipuram, an ardent devotee of Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi. Sri Ganeshan is presently carrying out an important exercise of mapping the key teachings of Sri Ramana Maharshi and the Vedantic or Upanishadic wisdom with the gamut of teachings contained in the primary text of Kashmir Shaivism. Sri Ganeshan will today share his insights and perspectives on the philosophy of Kashmir Shaivism and bring about amazing correlation between the Trika philosophy and the teachings of Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi from his ongoing work in the field. Welcome to you, sir. And I think if you are working, you would have been in G20 now.
So I would be missing that event, Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining. And please take over. Your slides are here. You let me know when I can bring them on.
Yeah. Thank you, Shankarji. It's an honor and pleasure for inviting me and giving this opportunity to share my thoughts and perspective on Kashmir Shaivism and Bhagvan Sri Ramana Maharshi's teachings. I would like to start with this invocation. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. So, thanks once again. I am from a family lineage who are ardent followers and devotees of Kanchi Shankaracharyas. At the outset, I would like to share my childhood memories. My father was in defense and we were in Secunderabad for a few years. I was just about 10 years old, studying in class 4 in Central School in Secunderabad. It was, I think, during the year 1968 when Mahaperiva, along with Periva, then Periva Sri Jayendra Saraswati Swamikal, camped in Padmarao Nagar in Secunderabad, and for about 6 months, where now famous, Skandagiri temple was coming up then. And I used to spend almost the whole day on Sundays, holidays, and during summer vacations playing in the premises where both Shankaracharyas were residing. And Paramacharya used to ask all of us children to write Ram Ram every day. And he used to give one silver coin for completing one notebook. And it was so exciting to receive those silver coins from Mahaperiva, who was like a living God for all of us. I really cherish those unforgettable moments of my life. And I'm sure it is Mahaperiva's blessings that I have today been invited by Kanchi Mutt for this talk. So my Vandanam and Namaskaram to His Holiness Shankaracharya, Shri Vijayendra Saraswati Swamigal, and I seek his continued blessings. Hara Hara Shankara, Jaya Jaya Shankara. So let me at the outset admit that I am not a scholar. I am only a sadhaka, a spiritual seeker, and an explorer of various wisdom traditions as part of my own inner journey and sadhana. And having completed my official responsibilities 10 years in the government and lastly in Agricultural Finance Corporation, I am now focusing all my attention in my inward journey. And I am an ardent devotee of Bhagvan Sri Ramana Maharshi, and I have the opportunity now to go frequently to Tiruvannamalai Ramana Ashram, and I spend my time, much time in the Virupaksha cave and Skandashram, where Maharshi Ramana spent about 20 to 23 years of the penance. So I'll with that I will start with the broad overview of Kashmir Shaivism, Advait Vedanta, and then come to Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi's teachings. So I think next slide. Kashmir.
This is the first one.
Kashmir, as we all know, is not only a paradise on earth, but 1 minute. I think now the slide is I wanted that first slide. Second slide. So Kashmir, as we all know, is not only a paradise on earth, but has also been one of the greatest places of learning in ancient India. So Kashmir, at one point of time, around I think 1500 BC or so, Kashmir was the link between India and Central Asia. Persia, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, and Turkey, and right up to China. And this trade route was called the Silk Road, where exchange of goods and ideas was happening between diverse cultures and civilizations. So I just show you the next slide. So there was a very famous university and temple in Kashmir called Sharda Peeth, which is still there, but on the Pakistan side, which dates back to 3000 BC. So Sharda is another name for Goddess Saraswati, knowledge and wisdom. So this was a center of higher learning of Vedic works, scriptures, and exchange of ideas. So Hinduism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, the Kushan Empire, the Greeks, all came through Kashmir. And that is why Kashmir at that time was known as the gateway to India. So that is the stage. At this stage came Abhinava Gupta, one of the greatest spiritual, and intellectual giants of India. He lived in Kashmir from about, I think, middle of the 10th century into the 11th century. So what he did was, he synthesized all the old teachings of Tantra and the Shaktism of Kaula, including non-dualism of Advaita, and merged it all together into a new philosophy called Trika, and which is today popularly known as Kashmir Shaivism. So his seminal book was this Tantra Loka, and he was teaching a direct union of Shiva and Shakti, non-dual, dual, and all stages in between. It was not meant just for monks. It was also for householders. It was for everybody. I'm just, I think the slide is getting moving. Yeah, it was for everybody. No caste, no creed. It was liberal and progressive. So So it was liberal and progressive. And, there was, women had equal place. It was absolute non-dualism. I think this is a radical philosophy. So I think you can remove the slide now. Yeah. Hello. I think we can go to the next slide. Yeah.
I think there is some sound at the background. Is there anything switched on at your end?
Oh. One minute.
Yeah, now it's gone.
I think now my mobile was on, so I think.
Oh, okay. Maybe that echo was coming. Okay, right. Please go ahead.
Is it okay now? Yeah. So, yeah. So Kashmir, the knowledge of Kashmir Shaivism has remained practically hidden from view due to several invaders in Kashmir in the last over 8 centuries. So Adi Shankaracharya's visit to Kashmir about 1,500 years ago also brought a lot of influence on Kashmir Shaivism. So there is a very famous ancient temple of Adi Shankaracharya in Srinagar atop the hill, which is also known as Shankaracharya Hill. I'm sure many of you may have also visited this place. So, as I said, I am an ardent devotee of Bhagvan. So while I was exploring Kashmir Shaivism, I was quite fascinated to see that there were many stimulating cases of similarity between Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi's teachings and the Trika philosophy. So one thing, or I should say one principle that binds all these philosophies, I think we can remove this slide. Yeah, now it is okay. Because, I think, so one thing, or I should say one principle which I said binds all these philosophies, Advaita, Vedanta, Kashmir Shaivism, and also Bhagwan's teachings, is to know the true nature of self. So at the core, there is no difference in the philosophies of Kashmir Shaivism and Advaita Vedanta. Both are monistic, non-dualist tradition, the essence of which is to realize the absolute consciousness, that is self within. So I'll just go to the next slide now. Next slide, please. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. So Bhagwan, Sri Ramana Maharshi very nicely and succinctly explained the conceptual premise of both the philosophies. So here Bhagwan, Bhagwan is explaining the Maya Vedanta and Swatantriya, the concept of Pratyabhigya in Kashmir Shaivism. Swatantriya is an important concept, that is, free will of Shiva. So Bhagavan was, explaining this Maya of Vedanta and Swatantriya of Pratyabhigya. So this has been taken from the talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi, published by Sri Ramana Ashram. It is talk number 288, dated 29th November 1936. So here, this is a long one, so I have split the Bhagwan's quote into 3 parts for a meaningful discussion. So we'll go to the next slide. The first part. The Vedanti, Bhagwan says, the Vedantis say that Maya is the Shakti, that is power or illusion premised in Shiva. Maya has no independent existence. Having brought out the illusion of the world as real, she continues to play upon the ignorance of the victims. So when the reality of her not being is found, she disappears. So, yeah, I think we can remove now. So in Advaita Vedanta, as we all know, Brahman is the absolute reality, the absolute consciousness, Sat Chit Ananda, that is existence, consciousness, bliss. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. But the world is unreal. It is Maya. It is illusion. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Similarly, in Kashmir Shaivism, Shiva, that is Parama Shiva, is the ultimate reality, the one from which everything emerges. The only difference is Brahman in Vedanta is Prakasha only, that is light, but without any activity. But Shiva in Kashmir Shaivism is dynamic. Shiva is both Prakasha and Vimarsha, light and activity. Prakasha is the Chit Shakti, the power whereby awareness is aware of things. But interestingly, Shiva is not only aware of things but also self-aware. So this is the Vimarsha Shakti, reflective awareness or self-awareness. So the central theme of Kashmir Shaivism is Shiva, Shakti, and Nara, that is Jiva, the individual beings. So that is why this philosophy is called as Trika, the triadic philosophy. So here what happens, Shiva voluntarily adopts self-willing by what is called as Tirodhana Shakti, that is willing power, or Vimarsha Shakti, and becomes a Jiva. So it is Shiva's Swatantriya Shakti, means his independent free will to create and manifest. So this process of wheeling himself from himself is Maya or illusion in Kashmir Shaivism. So Maya in Kashmir Shaivism is the power of Shiva, his energy. We call it Shiva Mayi. The universe is not Mithya, unreal. The universe is Shiva Rupa and real. See how the concept of Maya is different in both the philosophies. But in essence, there is no difference. So this whole world is a divine play. Shiva and Shakti are having fun. So we do not know this truth because of our ignorance, avidya. So when we get this knowledge, jnana, not an intellectual knowledge which we all have, but experiential knowledge. So when we get this experiential knowledge, we will realize that there is no such thing as Maya. Maya or illusion disappears. And this is what Bhagwan says. Very interesting. So I will move to the next slide. Yeah. So this is, the next slide, yeah. Pratibhigya. No, I think, 1 minute, I will change it. This Pratibhigya, yeah, this is the slide. So, yeah, Pratibhigya is a very important concept, that is recognition. So, Bhagwan says, Pratibhigya recognition says that Shakti, that is power, is coeval with Shiva. The one does not exist without the other. Shiva is unmanifest, whereas Shakti is manifest on account of her independent will, Swatantriya. Her manifestation is the display of the cosmos on pure consciousness, like images in a mirror. So the images cannot remain in the absence of a mirror. So also the world cannot have an independent existence. Swatantriya becomes eventually an attribute of the Supreme. So we can now remove the slide. I'll just explain what exactly Bhagavan intended. So Bhagavan, see, Pratibhigya Hridayam is, means the heart of self-recognition, Pratibhigya Hridayam. It's a classic text written around 10th century by Kshemaraja, who was a disciple of Abhinav Gupta. So we'll go to the next slide. I think the slide option is lost here. So you can go to the next slide, yeah. Next one, yeah, next. So Pratibhigya, the fundamental teaching of Pratibhigya philosophy of Kashmir Shaivism is I am Shiva. We can call it self, Atman, Brahman, or pure consciousness. So we have forgotten it because we have identified ourselves with the body. So Jiva, not knowing itself, is bound. The Jiva, knowing itself, becomes Shiva. So self-forgetfulness, that is Swatma Vismarana, and self-remembrance, Swatma Pratyabhigya, are two scenes in the divine play of Shiva. So what a great similarity in the 10th century treatise of Pratibhigya Hridayam and Bhagavan's teachings. So now I will come to the next slide, which is, now Bhagavan now sums up. Bhagavan now sums up in the third part. Bhagavan says, see, Shankara says that the absolute is without attributes and that Maya is not and has no real being. What is the difference between the two? So both agree that the display is not real. The images of the mirror cannot in any way be real. The world does not exist in reality. Both schools mean the same thing. Their ultimate aim is to realize the absolute consciousness. So the unreality of the consciousness is implied in Pratibhigya, whereas it is explicit in Vedanta. So if the world be taken as Chit, consciousness, it is always real. Vedanta says that there is no diversity, meaning that it is all the same reality. So next slide. So there is agreement on all points except in words and the method of action. This is what Bhagavan said. So therefore, Bhagavan did not find major differences in the philosophies of Kashmir Shaivism. In Kashmir Shaivism, Shiva and Shakti are not separate, they are inseparable. That is Prakasha and Vimarsha. That is reflective consciousness, just like two sides of the same coin. It is like a reflection in a mirror. So the one does not exist without the other. That is what Bhagwan explained. So that is why Bhagwan did not find any differences in the two philosophies, which are ancient, tradition. So now I would proceed to the next part of my discussions today. After this brief overview of the differences, the conceptual differences, slightly, but actually there was no difference. Now I'm coming to the next slide. So I have tried to map the key teachings of Bhagavan with the gamut of teachings contained in the primary texts of Kashmir Shaivism, namely the Shiva Sutras, the Spanda Karikas, Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, Pratibhigya Hridayam, and Shiva Stotravali. So, Bhagwan's main composition is Ulladu Narpadu. Narpadu means in Tamil 40, the 40 verses on reality, and then Upadesha Saram and the teachings on Atma Vichara, self-inquiry, that is, who am I? Bhagwan also composed Akshar Manamalai, which is a devotional outpouring of Bhagavan and several other hymns. I will start with the Shiva Sutras first and then see how Bhagavan's teachings relate to that and that amazing correlation. So I will go to the next slide, Shiva Sutras. Shiva Sutras, are said to have been revealed by Lord Shiva himself to sage Vasugupta in the 9th century. It consists of 77 verses. I'm going to the next slide. The first verse of Shiva Sutra says, Chaitanyam Atma. The first verse of Shiva Sutra, Chaitanyam Atma. Chaitanyam plus Atma is Chaitanyam Atma. So in Lalita Sahasranama, also in Nama, 919 is derived from the word Chaitanya, from the word Chaitana. Chaitanyarghya Samaradhya, Chaitanya Kusuma Priya. So Chaitanya means pure consciousness. So the sutra says the realities of this whole universe is Chaitanyam or God consciousness. We call it Brahman in Vedanta and Shiva or Paramashiva in Kashmir Shaivism. So Chaitanyam Atma means the Atma, the soul, is also Chaitanyam, pure consciousness. Similar to the Mahavakyas in our Vedas, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, I am Atma Brahman, this Atman is Brahman. So this consciousness alone prevails everywhere. Hence, Shiva is omnipresent. And that is similar to the another Mahavakya in Rig Veda, Prajnanam Brahma. Brahman is pure consciousness, pure knowledge. So Vigyan Bhairav Tantra also says the same thing. Because of the limitation of time, I would not like to go through that. But I would, this was also, the same sentiments were also expressed by Vasugupta in 2 verses of the Spanda Karika. So I am not reading these big verses because of limitation of time, since we have lots to cover. So Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi has echoed the same sentiments in the invocatory verse, Mangalam verse of Ulladu Narpadu. I'll read this. This is very important. So, without awareness of reality, can reality exist? Because this awareness reality itself, free from thought, exists as the source of all thoughts. So, how to know it? To be as it is, that is thought-free in the heart, is to know it. So, here, firstly, Bhagwan explains that absolute reality is not only being, that is meaning existence, but also consciousness, Sat Chit. Secondly, Bhagwan says that the truly existing, that is absolute reality, is not only that which is completely devoid of thought, but is also that which is self-aware or self-conscious. See the coincidence, what Bhagwan says is identical to the concept of Prakasha Vimarsha, consciousness and reflective consciousness in Kashmir Shaivism, as we discussed earlier. And thirdly, Bhagwan says that it exists in heart, Hridayam, that is in the innermost core of our being. So the absolute reality, Brahman or Shiva or pure consciousness, is not something that exists outside us or separate from us, but is that which exists within us. So this is the essence of the 4 Mahavakyas also. I am Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, you are that, I am Atma Brahman, Prajnanam Brahma. So in Ulladu Narpadu, I think, in Ulladu Narpadu, another verse 1, Bhagwan says, because the world is seen, we have to infer a common cause, that is a Lord possessing unlimited powers to appear as the diversity. So the pictures consisting of names and forms, the seer, the canvas, the light, all these are he himself. Beautiful. So now we can remove the slide again. Yeah. So Bhagwan says, it is only when we rise as ego, this body, mind, that any picture of names and forms appear in our consciousness. So that is when we remain as pure awareness, self-awareness, or Atman, no picture of names and forms appears in our awareness. There will be even no seer also. So if our goal was something other than ourselves, there would be some distance for us to travel in order to reach it or attain it. But since we ourselves are the goal that we are seeking, we don't have to go anywhere. That's what Bhagwan says. Therefore, the only means which Bhagwan says by which we can attain or realize this absolute reality or self is by just being. That is thought free as pure self-awareness. Again, we see that there is so much of an equivalence in both the teachings. So now I'll go to the second sutra. Next slide. Yeah. Second sutra. The second verse of Shiva Sutra says, I think second, is it open? Yeah. Jnanam bandha. Jnanam bandha. The second verse of Shiva Sutra. And the reverse of it is ajnanam bandha. So jnanam means knowledge and bandha means bondage. So what kind of knowledge binds? Knowledge acquired through sensory perceptions or experience, that is manas, buddhi, ahankara, these are the antakarna, is the cause of bondage. So Shiva or Brahman is pure knowledge, whereas we individual self or jiva have limited knowledge. Why? Because of maya, illusion. So that is the cause of bondage. So this sutra says vitiated knowledge or limited knowledge or ignorance of one's real nature is the cause of bondage of the individual self, that is jiva. Again, avidya or ignorance about the absolute nature, that is ignorance of our true nature as universal consciousness or higher self is the cause for bondage. So jnanam bandha and the reverse is ajnanam bandha. So beautiful. And I'll go to the next slide where Bhagwan, not the same slide. So knowledge and ignorance, Bhagwan says, similar echoes the same sentiments. Knowledge and ignorance are interrelated. The one does not exist without the other. So inquiring to whom is that knowledge and ignorance, arriving at the root cause, the self, this is true knowledge. So, again, what Bhagwan implies is that being aware of ourself as just pure awareness is alone true knowledge. If we do not have this knowledge, it is ignorance, avidya. So what happens? Avidya leads us to samsara, that is the materialistic world, and then we become bound in the cycle of repeated births and deaths. So as Adi Shankara in his classic poetic composition Bhaja Govindan said, Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janari jatareshana. Iha sansare bahudustare kripaya pare pahimurare. So in Ramana Gita, composed by Kavyakarta Ganapati Muni, we have the sloka which says the same. The wise say that pure abidance in the self alone is jnana. So see the similarities in Bhagwan's teachings and the Shiva Sutras. So now I'll come to the next, sutra, the fourth Shiva Sutra, which is again, next one. Yeah. This sutra says, Jnanadishtanam matrika. Jnanadishtanam matrika. That is the fourth Shiva Sutra. So jnana means knowledge, the limited knowledge. Adhishtanam means resting upon, and matrika means the divine mother Shakti. So we can remove the slide so that I can. In Lalita Sahasranama, Nama, I think 577, Parashakti Paranishta Pragyana Ganarupini Madhvi Pana Lasa Mattha Matrika Varna Rupini. So Matrika Varna Rupini. So divine mother Shakti is Matrika. So Shakti is in the form of 51 alphabets of Sanskrit called matrikas, through which objects are known. So hence Shakti is the creator of the universe. So this sutra clearly says the basis of these limited kinds of knowledge is matrika, or the power of sound and speech. So I'll show you in the slide. Next slide. Yeah. I think next slide. Yeah. So vak, that is sound, vak that is sound creates the universe. So vak is Devi Saraswati. In Sri Vidya, we have this powerful mantra to invoke Divine Mother. Aim Vada Vada Vakvadini Swaha. So Kashmir Shaivism gives a very detailed explanation of matrikas. It says there are 4 levels of speech: para, pashyanti, madhyama, and vaikari. So para is the supreme speech. This consists of pure awareness of the self. It is also called paravani or paravak. So the next level is pashyanti. Here the thought is visualized within oneself that instinctively springs up. It is subtler. And madhyama is the planning stage. It is the mental stage. See, even before we say or speak, like now I am talking to you, at the present, I'm already forming some definite ideas inside at the madhyama state. And Vaikari is the language we all speak. Now, whatever I am talking right now is Vaikari. It is the outward expression of our thought or intention. So it is the manifest form of speech. So our Vedic scriptures also talk about 4 levels of speech. We can remove the slide here. So, but the details are not specified in Vedic. So the Atharva Veda contains the Ganapati Upanishad. I think most of you may be aware, our watchers, Ganapati Atharva Shirsam. There is a verse that refers to the 4 speech stages. Tvam Chatvari Vakpadani, Tvam Gunatraya Titah, Tvam Avasthatraya Titah. So Chatvari means 4 levels of speech. That is, you are the 4 levels of speech. It is a praise of Lord Ganesha as Brahman God. Similarly, in Rig Veda, Samhita, also we find a similar verse. Chatvari Vak Parimita Padani. So in Vedanta, all forms of speech are considered as originating from the Shabda Brahman. And again, the Shabda Brahman is Para Brahman, the absolute. So this is the world of objects. And objects are known by the words that refer to them. So because of these words, these letters, that is matrika, and these objects, we are sometimes filled with, grief, sometimes with joy, sometimes with anger, then attachment, and so on. So words are the root cause of all misery. I'll show you in the slide. So words, Maya is Matrika Shakti. That is why Bhagvan said, Summa in Tamil, Summa means just shut up. So the highest teaching of Bhagwan is to remain in silence. I think that slide has gone. So now, in Kashmir Shaivism, this state is called Paravak. Paravak, that is Sumayr, that shut up. So Paravak is absolutely at that state where there is absolutely thoughtlessness. What a great, equivalence in both the, teachings. So Bhagwan says that I'm reading this. That state, the state which transcends speech and thought, is Mauna. So I'll just, I think, it is meditation without mental activity. The subjugation of the mind is meditation. Deep meditation is eternal speech. Silence is ever speaking. Silence is ever speaking. It is interrupted by speaking words which obstruct this mute language. So I am not further reading because of time limitation. So what Bhagwan says is, silence is ultimate teaching. Silence is also very much misunderstood by many people. It does not mean merely outward speech or talk. It is actually stilling the mind. It means abiding in self all the time, which also means just being. So I'll come to this again later. So now I will go to the 5th sutra, Shiva Sutra. Next slide. Next slide, yeah. No, next slide. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, Udyama Bhairava. Yeah, this is one. Yeah, Udyama Bhairava. So Udyama Bhairava, this is the Shiva Sutra, fifth sutra. Udyama Bhairava means, Udyama means, Udyama plus Bhairava is Udyama Bhairava. So Udyama means the sudden flash of realization of Shiva nature. That is pure consciousness. So Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi called it as Manonasa, complete annihilation of the mind. It occurs to those whose entire consciousness is merged in Bhairava or Shiva. So when spiritual knowledge is complete or total, it is self-realization. It is the state of Ananda, bliss. So Udyama refers to that situation. It is just like a reservoir. When a reservoir is full, it begins to overflow. So Bhairava means Shiva, and realization that I am Shiva, the self is Shiva. That is what Bhairava. So this sutra corresponds to the illumination of Bhagwan when he was just 16 years of age, the death experience. So this is very interesting, what Bhagavan said. Now death has come. What does it mean? So this body is now dead. It will be carried to the burning ground. But with the death of this body, am I dead? Is the body I? So this body is silent and inert. So, but I feel the full force of my personality and even the voice of the I within me apart from it. So I am the spirit transcending the body. The body dies, but the spirit that transcends it cannot be touched by, death. So here, you have this Adi Shankaracharya's, Atma Shatakam, Nirvana Shatakam also. So where, Manobuddhi Ahankara Chittan. So I'm not this body, I'm not this intelligence, I'm not this ego, neither I am born, nor I die, neither I have a father, nor mother, nor guru, nor Vedas. So absolutely. So virtually what Bhagwan, became a sage of Arunachala with this realization at this young age of, 16 years. He was Shiva himself. That is how grace anugraha comes. So he took two steps, the grace pulls us up. So Jiva becomes Shiva. This is what is self-realization. So I will now, come to the next very important text of Kashmir Shaivism, Spanda Karikas. And sage Vasugupta composed the Spanda Karikas, comprising of about 52 verses. Spanda. So I'm in this image I'm showing, this is the network, this is a spanda, the vibration. In Vedanta, we call it that Om, the vibration, that sound, the first sound, the primordial sound, Om. And in scientific terms, we call it as the Big Bang. So this is how the network, see, everything is networked. All of us are all interconnected, the spanda, because of that spanda, the vibration. So the universe emerges from the spanda power of Shiva. Spanda means movement or vibration or throbbing. It is a descent of from godhood to manhood. So here you see, this is the spanda, that universe. What we find in macrocosm is microcosm. So what is there in the universe is there in all beings. If you see, the same principle of spanda is applicable in our body. We are vibrating, motioning all the time. So spanda in cosmos and the vibration of the pulsation is happening in the same body, in the same principle, and in all human beings. In Kundalini Kriya, the Kundalini Shakti rises from Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, then Anahata, Vishuddhi, Agya Chakra, and finally meets Shiva. The Shakti at Muladhara meets Shiva at Sahasrara through that Sushumna Nadi. Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. So it is the same spanda principle, the pulsation or vibration that happens. So creation of universe, how it happens. So Kashmir Shaivism gives a beautiful description of cosmic evolution. The principle of 36 tattvas in Kashmir Shaivism. It's a very huge topic, but I'm just briefly touching upon that. So these are the 36, tattvas. They are the elements, the ladders in Kashmir Shaivism. So Shiva, that through manifestation, in Kashmir, Paramashiva descends from godhood to manhood. Shiva becomes Jiva through these 36 elements. And then our goal in life or the aim of our birth is actually to ascend back to Godhood. That is to Paramashiva. That is realizing that I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. So Jiva has to cross these 36 ladders to realize Shiva or become Shiva. That is going back to the source. So tattvas means Thatness principle, reality, Tattvamasi. You are that in Vedanta. What is that? What is that Tat? So we will see in that next slide. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, yeah, this is fine. So at the highest level is Paramashiva. Here, Shiva and Shakti are in union. So Paramashiva has 5 universal energies or Shaktis. Chit Shakti, Ananda Shakti, that is Chit Shakti, Ananda Shakti, absolute bliss, that is Prakasha Vimarsha, and then Icha Shakti, will. These are the 3 additional features in Kashmir. Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and Kriya Shakti. So what happens is that something steers within that ocean of consciousness. So that is called Pratama Spanda, first vibration. It is like throbbing. Bhagwan used the term Sfurana, Aham Sfurana in the body and Sfurana. So next slide, that is, we are showing this 5 tattvas. Shiva is Chit Shakti, all pervading consciousness. No, I think the earlier one was 5. Yeah, this one. Shiva is static, but it appears to move, though it is not a real movement. So Shiva sees his own reflection like one sees in the mirror. So this is how Shakti Tattva is manifested. So that is Prakasha, then Vimarsha, self-awareness. So it is awareness being aware of itself. It results in supreme bliss, Ananda Shakti. So it is Shiva's Swatantriya Shakti, absolute freedom. That is, unique to this Kashmir Shaivism, that Swatantriya concept. So Spanda gives rise to Icha, that is Icha Shakti, this desire, this playful urge to manifest, to create. So from Icha, through Icha Shakti comes the world, the universe. So everything that we see or experience in the world, all the objects around is Shakti. So energy moves, it polarizes the consciousness with Aham and Idam, subject, object. There cannot be an object without a subject and a subject without an object. So the third stage of manifestation or third tattva is Sadashiva tattva, this one. So Sadashiva tattva, it is responsible for appearance of Aham, self, I consciousness, subject. Then we have the fourth stage, which is Ishvara tattva, which is responsible for appearance of Idam, this consciousness, object, subject, object. So the next stage, fifth stage of manifestation is called Shuddha Vidya, which Kriya Shakti or power of action. So Kriya Shakti is the power by which the world is manifested, sustained, and destroyed. So it is the dance of Shiva and Shakti on the cosmic stage. So I have just tried to bring out this dance of Shiva Shakti. So Paramashiva, Panchakrityas, 5 acts of Paramashiva, 5 acts of Lord Shiva is, one is creation, Srishti. Srishti, I think everybody knows, in Vedantic or Sankhya Yoga, we talk about this creation, maintenance, and dissolution. So Srishti, Sthiti, and Samhara. So Srishti, creation, in Kashmir Shaivism, it is not creation, it is actually emanation. Shiva emanates to create the world. He doesn't create. He emanates and the world is created and he becomes a Jiva. So then the another is maintenance, Sthiti, then Samhara. But this unveiling, the Tirodhana Shakti of Shiva, this is unique to Kashmiri Shaivism. Tirodhana Shakti, Shiva unveils himself, concealment, Tirodhana Shakti. Shiva forgets himself and becomes a Jiva. And then grace, Anugraha. When the individual realizes, after all the sansaric, materialistic world, pains and suffering, the Jiva inner journey starts, the grace comes. When you take 2 steps, the grace comes and pulls. So that is what is Anugraha. Jiva becomes Shiva. That is realization that Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahma. Or I am Shiva in Kashmir Shaivism. So these 36 tattvas are very elaborate. It is very informative and interesting. It needs a separate session for going into much details. I have just tried to give a broad overview so that what exactly Bhagwan teachings can be understood with this brief overview. So on a question relating to Aham Sfurana, Bhagwan clarified. Next slide, please. Yeah. Next slide. These are other tattvas which I'm not talking about now. So yeah, on a question of Aham Surana, Bhagwan said, I is not known in sleep. 1 minute, I'll just read out this. I is not known in sleep. On waking, I is perceived and associated with the body, the world, and non-self in general. Such an association is Aham Vritti. So when aham represent the self only, it is aham sfurana. This is natural to a jnani and is itself called jnana by jnanis or bhakti by bhaktas. So, though everyone is present, including in sleep, it is not perceived. It cannot be known in sleep all at once. It must be first realized in the waking state, for it is our true nature underlying the three states. So, now I'll just try to explain. You can remove the slide. So, we find amazing correlations between the Sandakarikas and the life and teachings of Bhagavan. So, Bhagavan frequently used this aham sfurana. Aham means I, and sfurana means throbbing, that pulsation. So in waking and in dream, we know I am this body, I am so and I am conscious of this world around me. In this waking state, our mind tells us that the world we are now experiencing is real in the waking state. But the same mind tells that the world we experience in dream is unreal when we wake up from the dream. So, but in dream, the same mind tells us that the world we were then experiencing was real. So when we wake up from deep sleep, we are able to say with certainty, I slept well, I slept peacefully, I was very happy, I knew nothing at that time. So sleep is a state that we actually experience. It is not only a state in which we exist, but it is also a state in which we are conscious of our existence. So Bhagavan says, who is that experiencer? Who is that who is aware or conscious? It is not I, the body, but I, the pure consciousness or Atma. So therefore, Bhagwan says, our real self is pure consciousness, which exists in all the three states of waking, dream, and deep sleep. So another interesting aspect which Bhagavan says is, in deep sleep, the mind is still and there is no pain or suffering. So when we are sleeping, we don't feel any pain or suffering. There is also no awareness of that fact. But in the waking, we are presently aware. But thoughts, pain, and suffering also. I am talking, whatever pain exists in my body, I am aware of it. I am feeling that pain. So therefore, Bhagwan says, while remaining awake, thoughts should be stilled. That is the state of Jagrat Sushupti, Bhagavan says, which is also the state of the Jnani. Jnani is who knows the truth, who is the knower of the truth. He is enlightened sage. So this Jagrat Sushupti state is also called Samadhi or Mukti, liberation, or Ananda, bliss. So that is what actually we are aiming to realize. So next slide. Next slide, I'm just not going to read it, but it is well brought out in the question answer session of Vichara Sangram. Because of time lapse, I'm just, brought out this, beautiful, statements of Bhagavan at different times to different devotees, and in Ulladu Narpadu, very beautifully Bhagavan explained. So it is the question answer. I'm not going into details because of lack of time. So ninth, I will now come to the next slide. That is Spanda Karika, the ninth verse. I think, ninth verse. Yeah, ninth verse. No, not this one, the earlier one. Spanda Karika, ninth verse. So in the ninth verse, Bhagavan, in Spanda Karika, it is said, when the perturbation, that is mental uneasiness of that empirical individual who is incapacitated by his own impurity, malas. In Kashmir, the malas are very important. So the Spanda Karika says, who is incapacitated by his own malas and is attached to actions disappears, then the highest state appears. So now Bhagavan, the same truth is expressed in this, what Bhagavan says. The Jnani, also known as the awakened, the enlightened, the self-realized, is he who, although like everyone uses a body, he has broken the illusion that the body is himself, has broken the illusion that the body is himself. So after life's strenuous search, he found the heart and realized himself to be none other than the supreme Sadashiva, Brahman, or absolute consciousness. So beautiful. So how Bhagavan, exactly what is in Spanda Karika, Bhagavan tried to, convey the same teachings into the world. So next slide, I will just briefly touch upon the malas. So in Kashmir Shaivism, you have these three malas. Kashmir Shaivism very nicely the reason for the causes for the pains and suffering that we all experience. So it is because of the three malas. And the malas is because of which we get into this sansaric bondage. It says our sufferings are due to three malas. One is anava mala. It is because Shiva descends from godhood to manhood. Shiva forgets himself. That is anava mala. Maya mala is that Shiva wheeling. Shiva's wheeling power, that is Swatantra Shakti. Shiva puts on Maya and wheels himself through that 5 kanchukas coverings. I'm not going into that kanchukas, that is the 36 elements, which we can have later sometimes. So the karma mala. So what happens due to ignorance, avidya, we jiva perform acts to fulfill desires. We are always looking for pleasure and objects, external. So this external leads to only accumulating more and more karma. So that is what this karma mala. So Kashmir Shaivism also provides different practical approach to attain liberation or mukti. So in Kashmir Shaivism, next slide. Yeah. Kashmir Shaivism, these are called upayas or means. There are 3 main upayas. Anavapaya, which is inferior means. This is the path most of the people follow. It includes worship of personal deity, doing puja, rituals, mantra recitation, pranayama, and so on. So that is kriya action. The next level, the people who are in that state, next state, that is, Shaktopaya, are those who are doing, that is using the medium of Shakti, that is mantra sadhana. So people who are in the state of Shaktopaya do mantra sadhana, dharana, that, Patanjali's Ashtanga Yojana, you have dharana, dhyan, kriya, kundalini meditation practice. So the aim in Shaktopaya is to direct the mind to one-pointedness. So here it is knowledge. So you get the knowledge and for jnana. And the idea is that with that one-pointedness, subsequently, even that one-pointedness goes and you come to the next state, which is called Shambhavapaya. Shambhavapaya means the method of Shambhu or Shiva, the direct path, which Bhagvan was talking about, the direct path. In this state, the sadhaka is in thoughtlessness state. There is no recitation of mantras, puja, sadhana, worship, nothing. So Bhagwan called it manonasa, complete annihilation. That is no mind state. Here it is pure will, ichha. So a person, comes to that from Shaktopaya to Shambhavapaya state. And I'll go to the next slide where Bhagwan in Ulladu Narpadu, verses 17 and 18, very beautifully, talks about it. Since all living beings desire to be always happy, even I think I'll not go through because of the time lag, but I'll just brief what exactly Bhagwan meant. So in all the above quotes, Bhagwan says that the jnani is one who has realized the self. That is a person of Atma Jnana, self-knowledge. So jnani means an awakened being or an enlightened being. Now I will come to the next very important classic text of Kashmir Shaivism, which is Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. Because there are so many things to cover for me. I am just trying to, bring out the equivalence in the teachings of Bhagavan and giving the brief about what exactly is the Bhagavan's teachings and the Kashmir Shaivism, different texts. So I will come to now Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, which is a very, very important, text. Vigyan Bhairav Tantra is a set of 112 methods of meditation that Lord Shiva himself is said to have described to Devi Parvati. So it is a dialogue between Lord Shiva and Devi Parvati, or Bhairava and Bhairavi. So she asked very simple and natural questions, which we all human beings have in mind all the time. So what is your nature of reality? Who are you? What is this universe all about? In fact, it is a metaphor, it's a dialogue between mind and consciousness. That is Shakti and pure consciousness, Shiva or Brahman. So I may tell you that most of the meditation techniques that so many institutions teach today to common man, in most of these are basically from this Vigyan Bhairav. Most of the institutions may do not even disclose this, but some institutions do teach the few meditation techniques of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. So in fact, Soham or Hamsat meditation is from Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. This is how Lord Buddha got enlightened. So I'll go to the next verse, oh dear, this particular verse, verse 138 of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, which says, oh dear one, the ideating mind, manas, the buddhi, intellect, the vital energy, prana, shakti, and the bound self I or ego, this set of four dissolves. Then the previously described state of Bhairava appears. So in this, particular verse, what what is said is the Vigyan Bharata Tantra is talking about the four states, that is Manas, Chetana, consciousness, Shakti, pranic energy, and Atman, self. So this sutra is, it is only when we ignore or dissolve these four states that we can realize the true state of Bhairava. So this is self-realization. So we have to annihilate this antakarna, mind, the breathing, atma, soul, energy, ahankara. So the same sentiments are echoed by Bhagwan in verse 13 of Upadesa Sandhya. The subsidence of our mind is of two kinds, laya and nasa. So that mind which is in abeyance will rise, but if form dies, it will not rise. So I will now explain this, particular, verse. So in verse 14 of Bhagwan says, the in the yeah, 1 minute, I'm just bringing that slide. So now at this stage I would like to because of there are other slides also which Bhagwan brings out the same fact, but now I would like to tell at this stage sum up the entire teachings of Bhagwan on Atma Vichara, self-inquiry. So whoever came to Bhagwan with their problems or sufferings, 1 minute, yeah. Whoever came to Bhagwan with their problems or sufferings, the one question Bhagwan would invariably ask is, who are you? First, know who you are. If I say I'm so and so, I'm this and that, I'm suffering and so on and so forth, the immediate response of Bhagwan would be, who is this I that you are referring to? Just go and inquire, investigate. So according to Bhagwan, mind is nothing but a bundle of thoughts. And the root thought is the I thought. So all other thoughts arise only after the I thought arises. So when we wake up from sleep, from deep sleep, the first thought that arises is I thought. And after the I thought, so many other thoughts raises. So Atma Vichara, or the technique of self-inquiry, means to inquire, who am I? What is the source of the I thought? So inquiry does not mean looking for answers to the question. It is silent self-investigation, Atma Vichara. So our Vedantic scriptures, the Upanishads, and all the sages and saints in the past have emphasized the need for self-knowledge. But Bhagavan is unique because he was himself a living example. It was not theory. It was not in scripture. He was not, teaching anything from the scripture. It was a direct practical approach. So I would rather say, in all my fora, he was like a laboratory where scientifically the technique of self-investigation, Atma Vichara, was being experimented and tested. So the correct practice of Atma Vichara, even in all my interactions with people, I feel that is so widely misunderstood by the people that I came across. So Bhagwan has said in clear terms that the only path for self-realization is through Atma Vichara, which is the direct path. But those who have not yet reached that state of spiritual development, that spiritual level, spiritual growth, may find it difficult to direct their mind's attention or to focus within. Why? Because of the wandering of the mind, this chattering mind, this monkey mind, which is always chattering. So those who cannot follow the direct path of Atma Vichara, Bhagwan said, follow the yoga karma mark through control of breath, pranayama, kriyas. So the idea there is the thought waves subside. In fact, Bhagwan never tried to advise. Whoever asked some question, he would say, okay, fine. So the thought waves would subside, and mind then can easily focus within. So bhakti or devotion is another mark to bring the mind under one pointed focus, dharana. So, but all these practices are just aids to restrain the mind, but it will not bring about manonasa, the annihilation of the mind. This is what Bhagavan said in all the verses which I referred to, but I didn't read the Bhagavan statement because that would be too long. So why? Because all other spiritual practices do force our mind to subside, but it is only for some time. Right now, when I do the puja, rituals, or even kriyas or pranayama, whatever, method I follow, it is only temporary. The mind will again rise. Even while doing these kriyas or puja, rituals or mantra sadhana, we find that most of the time mind is wandering. So even if I'm in a position to restrain the mind from wandering, but still, the moment I stop, it is going to rise in any case. So the supreme self, Bhagwan said, cannot be realized through the mind. So anything that says is always false. It can't be true. It will never show us the right path. Mind is the culprit, the thief. So you need police to catch the thief. Mind can't catch itself. So Atma Vichara does not involve any action, but it is just a state of self-conscious. And all other form of spiritual practice is an action of one kind or another by the mind. So anything that by the mind you do, we can't realize the self. So Bhagwan very emphatically said that Atma Vichara, abiding in self or self-attentiveness, is the only practice that will bring mind to a complete standstill. All the activity of mind, speech, breath, body, antakarna, all the organs, tanmatras, the, karmendriya. So everything has to stop. So in Kashmir Shaivism, this is the state of Shambhavopaya, which ultimately will lead to Anupaya. There is a fourth state which I didn't show in this slide, that is Anupaya. No path means. From Shambhavopaya, which is thoughtlessness state, which is in Vedantic or Sankhya terms, we can call it as Turiya. And there is another state, Turiya Tita. Turiya and Turiya Tita. So Shambhavopaya is like Turiya, and the next state, Anupaya, is Turiya Tita. 1 minute. So, Shambhavopaya will lead to Anupaya, no pathway. So, that is self-liberation, realization or liberation or mukti or moksha or nirvana from the Buddhist point of view, whatever we may call. That is when Jiva becomes Shiva or realizes that he is nothing but Shiva. So, I would let us awaken to this reality. So, I would now come to the last text, Stotra, Shiva Sotravali, which I think next slide. Shiva Sotravali consists of 450 verses. These are spontaneous outpourings of Acharya Utpal Dev. Shiva Sotras, we'll come to the next slide. Shiva Sotravali, yeah. So Shiva Sotravali consists of 450 verses, which are spontaneous outpourings of Acharya Utpal Deva, a great saint of Kashmir Saiva tradition. I'm not reading those quotes because of lack of time, but Shiva Sotravali shows the intense bhakti, devotion of Acharya Utpal Deva for the Lord Shiva, and the desire to attain God consciousness to realize self. So similarly, Aksharmana Malai is an equally inspirational outpouring of devotion from the heart of Bhagwan for Arunachala. It consists of 108 verses. Arunachala is not just a hill, it is actually Shiva in static state. This is the state we are all seeking to attain. So Bhagwan said, Arunachala is our own self, Atman or Brahman or Shiva, whatever we may call. So that is also in our Puranas, centuries ago, we find the same thing. So the song Aksharmana Malai gives so much solace to the restless mind. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. See how the spontaneous outpourings of Bhagwan is similar to the one as conveyed in Shiva Sotravali. I would like all the watchers to go through all the texts. It's very interesting and very informative. And this is also a part of sadhana, actually. So I can only say, concludingly, in fact, that bhakti is pure love, devotion. Ultimately, devotion is about giving ourselves to God. So when we give ourselves to God, what remains is God alone. That is what is Advaita Vedanta. We become one with God. That is, I realize that I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, you are that. So bhakti means complete surrender to God. And surrender means surrendering the ego, leaving everything to God, not wanting anything, no desires, no expectations, no asking, Nothing. So Bhagwan said, even seeking liberation or mukti is avidya, ignorance. Because we are already liberated. We have forgotten. We do not know the truth. The Shiva, I do not know that I am Shiva or I am Brahman. So Lord Krishna also in Bhagavad Gita says, Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Karm karo, phal ki ichha mat karo. Just do your duty. Do not bother about results or fruits of action. So only doing our duties means no overdoing, just doing. So it also means being in the present, which also means abiding in self, and which also means simply being, just be, as Bhagwan repeatedly emphasized. So many different ways of conveying the same truth. So that is the only way to clear our prarabdha. No new action means no creating or accumulating new karmas. So concludingly, I would like to end this session with this Pratibhigya Hridayam, Sutra 20. Next slide, please. Pratibhigya Hridayam. Yeah, Pratibhigya. In Pratibhigya, I'm not quoting the sutra because, again, due to lack of time, it says very clearly that all are Shiva, the self, iti Shivam. So, and in Nanyar, who am I? Bhagwan, in answer to the 16th question, echoed the same sentiments. All are Shiva. So, I'm quoting this Bhagwan's, statement, quote, what exists in truth is self alone. The world, the individual, soul, and God are appearances in it, like silver in the mother of pearl. So these three appear at the same time and disappear at the same time. The self is that where there is absolutely no I thought. That is silence, total silence. So the self itself is the world. The self itself is the individual I, Jiva. The self itself is God. All are Shiva, the self. All are Shiva, iti Shivam. Shivoham, Shivo. So what exists in truth? So these are the words of, please mark the words, all are Shiva by Bhagwan. So these are the words of wisdom on which Kashmir Shaivism is based upon. Beautiful. So much of similarities in thoughts and teachings of both. So let us all awaken to this reality that I am Shiva, you are Shiva, you are the Tattvamasi. All are Shiva, Prajnanam Brahma, and Shivoham Shivoham. So the subjects, the Trika philosophy of Kashmir Shaivism and Bhagwan's teachings are very vast and elaborate. And there are many more insightful and stimulating cases of similarities. I have only tried to show a glimpse of that due to limitation of time. We can have separate sessions sometime later to elaborate on the various techniques of meditation, that Bhagyan Bhairav Tantra, 112 techniques, and Shiva Sutras, and all these Spanda Karikas. So, and other intense practices, including the mode and methodology for practicing Atma Vichara or self-integration. So before I end, I would like to share one thing. Sri Virendra Kazi ji, an international level chief exponent of Kashmir on Trika, Kashmir Shaivism, has planned a retreat in Tiruvannamalai sometime in January next year. And we are since in the process of finalizing dates and video. So anybody who would like to come and join will be very happy. And my sincere thanks to the organizer, particularly Sri V. Shankarji and the Kanchi Shankaracharya Matam for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to share my insights. So I seek the continued blessings of His Holiness Shankaracharya Sri Vijayendra Saraswati Swamikan. And we can go to
Thank
the
you,
next
sir.
slide. Yeah.
Direct, practical approach and complete surrender. Take home points.
Hara Hara
Can you
Shankara,
hear?
Shankara. Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you very much. That glimpse you are talking about took 1 year. So hopefully, I think we will have another session if you want to go through each and every aspect again in more detail.
Yeah, sure.
Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah.
Are you able to hear?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Thank you very much. And we will look forward to seeing you again, and we'll stay in touch.
So nice of you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for giving me this opportunity once again. Thank you. Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you, viewers. We actually exceeded our time, and as he mentioned, the glimpse has taken more time, and we will like to have him again. I will stay in touch with Ganeshan ji and bring him on board another time to go through individual aspects that you were explaining in broad detail today. So we want to thank Kanchimat channels, our Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, for and also Kamakodi.tv for all the streaming today. Those who have not joined us today, we can always go back and watch all our videos, including this one. Also, we want to thank Dinamalar for giving a great coverage for our series, as always, and VDSP for streaming support. Till we meet again, Jai Jai Shankara, Hara Hara Shankara.